Welcome everybody to today's show. My name is Ben, and we are glad to have you here, whether you're watching live or on a recording. We are going to get started today. We got green bubbles. We always like to see green bubbles. And let's take a look overall at what's going on with Ethereum, Bitcoin, the market cap. So, looks like overall for a 24-hour window, we're down just a little bit on Bitcoin and Ethereum. But in the last hour, it looks like we're up a little bit. So let's take a look at the overall market cap. Overall market cap is 1.14 trillion. So let's get that updated on our tracker. Remember that we always want to be tracking information. Um, that way we can make educated, informed decisions. Bitcoin, what's Bitcoin running at? Bitcoin is at 460. So as you can see, it's coming down. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum is at 196. So 196. So there we go. We can see that overall the market's down a little bit. We've got a little bit of a big drop, a bigger drop in Bitcoin than we do in Ethereum, right? So that's where we are at the moment, right? And let's look at our bubbles where we started. We got green bubbles, which we like. We've got some that are above 1.5%. Again, our strategy here that we go by is a compound strategy. We're basically looking to make one, maybe two trades a day, but typically one trade a day that returns 5%, right? And so if we start with a certain amount, and you can see I've got 100, 500, 1,000, and 2,000 listed here. But we start with, a certain amount. We make one trade, and then we use that total from that day, the next day, to make a trade. So where are we so far in February? Well, let's take a look. So we started with our $100 balance, and again, we're doing paper trading right now. We're not doing anything on an exchange. That'll come at a later date. But we are doing this all on paper. So let's tighten these up a little bit. And so let's take a look at where we are right now. So we started February 1st, right? And we had our $100 value. We made that trade. And then we had 104.18 at the end of that day after we sold that trade. And we've done that pretty much every day. Some days we've had two. We had one day where we had three. Some days we got even up to a 10% buy or sell. So we've had some days where we didn't get quite to 5%, other days where we got to 5, other days where we got to 10, and we've even had some days where we didn't get to 5%. We actually sold at a loss. And sometimes that's going to happen, right? So as it stands right now, we have an overall value of 233.69. Now, we are only trading Monday through Friday. We are not trading on Saturday and Sunday, and we missed a day. We didn't even trade on one Friday. So overall, let's see where that puts us. If we look at our overall strategy, where we're just trade Monday through Friday, at the end of the month, we would be looking about 265 would be our target. Well, we are very close to that, right? We're at 233. So let's see where we are as far as what's in the market, what are our options, what's out there. Let's start looking at our screeners. So let's go ahead, go over here to our screeners, and as we can see, we've got some options here to take a look at. Now I'm going to leave CFX up because look at that. We've got some SPY signals, but we're below the support of level 1. So this has had a big downturn. It's trying to come back out of all that. So just know that when CFX opened yesterday, it's just pretty much gone down the entire day. You can see that the colored bars are flipped. White's on the bottom, red's on the top. We're definitely not looking to buy in that scenario. And what do we have happening here? We have that reversal where now white's on the top, Blue's coming up above red, and all of our colored bars are starting to turn around. Okay? Now, we're not going to monitor this at all. We can look at labs as well. We don't need to say that. We can look. Labs was another one. It opened yesterday. Looks like it's been down pretty much all day. Looks like it's trying to turn around a little bit, right? So let's look at our screener. Close without saying. Our screener is showing us, all right, this one open. No other ones in Tether, but we're going to monitor our screener right now. Our trading pair is Tether. That is what we trade. Let's look at Bitcoin on the day. All right, so Bitcoin here on the day, we can see that it opened yesterday at this level, and it's pretty much it once on Tuesday at 2 a.m. Once it made this downturn and turned down, look at the white line and look at all the colored bars. It flipped, and it just has stayed down. Now it's trying to come back out right now, right? It's trying to come back out of this, but we'll see what happens, right? Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum, similar time frame of when Bitcoin and Ethereum typically follow similar patterns, right? Just understand that. And so you can see here, poof, everything went it flipped all the way upside down, and now it's trying to come back out, right? It's trying to do reverse. So that's what's happening with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's look at this call out by the screener. You can see there's a buy signals, right? There were some sell signals. Let's see where it's at the moment. The moment it's at 02930. And that is just right here at the R2. And it just pumped. Did it just pump above it? It did. So we're going to see what's going to happen here. It looks like it's trying to get above R2 here. And it's got all these sell signals here. So let's see what can happen here. Let's move this to the 5-minute and see what we get here. So we're just breaking out. We broke out. We flipped everything around. Now we're breaking up above the white line, right? We went from way down here to way up here on this one candle. And now we've got these resistance levels to try to break, right? Even though we're at R2 right here, if this one stays, right, and then in the 5-minute window it stays above R2, you guys know how I like things that are above R2. We're going to see what happens here. We'll monitor this one. Let's go back over to our screener. Oh, look at this. We've got some more. This is what you like to see. You want to jump in here. You want to see a whole bunch of options so that you can take a look and see if there's one that's going to be a great option for us. Look at this. Here we go. Let's take a look here. We're in a 15-minute window. We're at R1 and R2. Remember, R2 is a resistance. R1 is a resistance. So as long as this one stays above R1, we've got this play in between R1 and R2. It's already gone up here and tested a little bit, right? So let's see. Where are we at right now? We are at 0.002526. So 0.002526 times 105%. Where does that get us in relation to the R2? That gets us to 26,523. 26,5. That gets us to right about here, right? Which we've already been to today. And it's well below the R2. So this would be a good option for us, right? It's within the parameters of everything we're doing, right? Let's take a quick look at some of these other ones. R1, it's testing R1. It's looking at R1 here. WeMix is trying to get back up to its daily open, right? So let's look at these two. That's 20. Let's really take a look at this one on the 5-minute. Let's take a look. This might be a great option. Look at that. We had a little bit of a downturn coming down here, a little bit coming back out. That was a sell signal on the 5-minute. So it's got to come up, right, before it tries to come back down. If it came back down, yeah, we're seeing a little bit of retrace here. Let's look at this one on the 5-minute. It's coming up. It's trying to break out of this R1, right, on the 5-minute. Let's see what happens here. 220, 22.30. Now we're going to see what happens. Weebix is trying to come out. MEM is now, it's got these resistance levels here. 25.13. Okay. 22.36. So we're above or just a smidge below this 22.40. And we're definitely below 22.72. All right, so this one's going a little bit sideways here. We still have this buy signal pressure, or sell signal pressure. Let's see here. There we go, 22.590. You know what? I'm going to make this buy. And we've got a little bit of time, typically in our 30-minute window. We're going to see if we can get this onto our chart, get this buy in. We are going to buy it. Let's grab a price point real quick. 0.2534. So again, if we were on an exchange, I'd be clicking the buy button right now. This is VSYSUSDT. All right. We have $233 and change on our value in USDT and our paper value. So what is this going to get us? We got how many of these tokens? Divided by that amount. 9,000 of those tokens. We just completed it at 5:12 p.m. And why am I doing this? Because I want to track my trades, right? And this is, yes, I'm doing it on paper. And yes, I would even be doing this if I was doing this on an exchange. Right? I want to track, I want to see a record of what my trades are doing. How much, so I can come back in a year, I can come back in 6 months, and I can take a look and say, look at, the pattern, look at the process, so that if I see a pattern starting to happen, I'll be able to come in here and see, what does my trading pattern look like, right? What does my individual trading pattern look like? So let's go in here and add our bars on our chart so we can see when we want to do our sells. 0.002534. So 0.00253. We'll do 32 here. Right here. This is when we did our buy. So we always like to have our buy be a white line. Whoops, wrong one. Let's go back here. Our sell target is 26,607. So we come here, 26,6. Did I say 607? 2660. All right, 26.6. All right, there we go. This is our 5% sell line. So that's blue. And then we try to put in a purple line, which is our 10%, which is 27.87, right? 27.87, which is right below that R2. 27.87, right? So right below that R2, we've got our 10% line. So if we have a big pump up to that R2, right, then we would be in the 10% range. If we get a pump up between the blue and the purple, then we know we're above the 5% into the 10%. We know that we've gotten close already to that purple line once today, right? We see that it went all the way up, right? So now, if we were on an exchange, I'd be putting a stop loss in. What is a stop loss? It's basically saying that if the whole thing turns around and I'm not paying attention and I'm not at my computer, I want to put an automatic sell order in if it drops. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take my price and I'm going to say times 90%. So if the price drops by 10%, to 0.00228, then do an automatic sell. That would be our stop loss. So 0.00228, which would be right about there, this would be our stop loss in an exchange. And so this would allow this would be an order to tell the exchange, if we drop to here and I haven't put a sell order in, right? If I'm not monitoring this and paying attention, this thing turns around and drops, then make that sell. So we're putting that in to show our range of what we're looking for on this particular trade. So right now, here's what the trade from a technical perspective is trying to do. The price is trying to clear this red section, this red FVG, right? It's trying to clear this because this was a sell signal. So it came down here, it got below the white line, then it's come up at the white line. Now it's kind of going sideways. There's only one of two things that can happen with trading. The price goes up or the price goes down, right? And when you see pricing that just kind of goes sideways, right? Then it's just kind of what the price point of that particular asset, whether it's crypto or stocks or whatever, is just trying to figure out what it's trying to do. And everything here, right? We had this big run up. We would have loved to have been in the run up about, an hour or so ago, but we weren't. And that's okay. But we're in now, and we're watching our tools. Let's look at this and again, we're on the 5-minute view. Let's look at the 15-minute view. You can see what's happening in the 15-minute view. We had this big run up, right? And we had the big pullback, right? And to test the white again. Now we're coming up above the white line, and now we're coming down a little bit for another retest, which that's fine. So what's happening is this is testing this white trend line, right? All of our other colors are in the right order, right? And they're all pointing up. And so now it's just, we're waiting. We're waiting we made an educated trade. We understand our tools. We understand what the charts are telling us. And our screener pulled it out, right? Our screener told us, this looks like a good opportunity, right? And we're trusting our tools. We're trusting our screeners. Let's take a look at what else we have. We have, let's see, nothing else in the green. And one of the things I do look at when I'm looking for trades are greens, because that's the volume change on the day, right? But let's take a look at some of these other ones just to get in the habit of looking at charts, because that's one way you're going to be able to start to see and start to be familiar with what's a good option versus what's not a good option. We've traded Heinz before, even though I don't know if that's how you say that. Polls, all right. And again, we're looking at just Tether. We're looking at the options that have Tether, because that's our primary crypto that we're using. We have Scallop. I've never heard of that one. Okay. All right, so let's take a look. While we are in this one, we can monitor it. We can look at these other ones and get an idea. All right, we can practice. We can see that this right here, this indicator right here, this kind of aqua line is the day opening line. So we can see that it opened here. It went up a little bit, then it went down and sideways, down, 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 touched the open, came back down and tested the open. went up. We can see it's testing that resistance one line. Then it came down, went sideways, tested it again, right? And this is where you start to see patterns. And this is why you want to start to look at different things. Look what happened here. We had a big pump up, tested R1. Big pump down, tested the white line. Went sideways on a little bit of an upward pattern on the white line, then tested R1 again. Then broke R1 and then came back down and tested the white line. Then went really below it, then came back. This white line is a big indicator. So what are we doing here? We saw a big pump up, right? We saw a big pump down, testing the white line. Now we're kind of going, we're looking at a similar pattern. So we're hoping to catch this big pump back up to test R1 on the buy we made, right? So you can start to see different patterns happen, how things move. You can see what happened here, right? It pumped up, it went over R1, and then what did it do? Came back to white line, went below it, retested back up, went sideways, and then it went down. Things can only go up or down. It went all the way back down, then it went sideways. Now we're upside down, right? The white line crossed everything. The red line, we're upside down. But look, once it hit here, it's a slow march back to the upside, right? And now we're back above the white, right? So lots of different ways you can look at things. And you can just see the ebb and flow, the up and down, the wave pattern of how things are going, right? Take a look. Here we go. A pump and then another pump right behind it. So this one's over R1. So what do you think is going to happen here? Is it going to go up to R2 or is it going to pull back? What's going to happen? We've got, a little bit of time available. Again, the other thing you have that you can do is you can adjust the timing, right? This is a 15-minute view. If we flip it over here to the 5-minute view, look at that. Poof, poof, poof. This would be something where what do you think is going to happen? It could go up. It could come back down and retest. What I would look for is I'd look for a buy right about here at 52.35, right? Because that's above the R1. The white line isn't quite there yet, but it's going to maybe get there. And then I have the range up to the R2 or above R2, right? Above that resistance. Let's take a look. Let's put this back on our 15, right? But that's a big move. And this is exactly why we look for our 5% per day. We don't need a gigantic win on the day. We just need a 5% move, and then we're done for the day. This one, look at this. This is on an upward trend, a whole bunch of buy options. There's the R1. We haven't touched the R1 yet. So this would be something to look at. Same thing here, a bunch of buy signals. We're going from the bottom. We're turning ourselves around, right? So lots and lots of opportunities. So let's take a look at what's going on here. We're at 24.77. So again, we're just right here, kind of going sideways. We're testing the white line. We don't really know what it's going to do. We're just monitoring it. We can look at it on the 5 minutes, right? It's turning down, right? We had a down, another down. So we might be pulling the trigger here. If it gets to R1, it's got a little bit of room here on the R1. It was 24.27, right? And then we'll see if it bounces back up and what happens at that point. But when you make a trade, you want to be confident in your trade. You want to look at that and say, yep, we made a good, educated trade. Let's see, what's this one? And this is, let's take a look. Let's take a look here. All right, we went up, and see how this one's crossing into that previous sell, and it's coming out. It crossed the white line. It crossed all the colors, right, of our lines, and it's trying to break out of this red section that was a sell signal, right? So this is an opportunity. If you can break that sell signal, and close all the way above it, then it would have the room to run up to R1. All right. So let's go back here. We're getting ready to switch on the 5 minute. Look at that. And this is what happens, right? We're just waiting on our 5 minutes to see where the 5 minute closes. And, while it went down, these lines indicate someone made a buy way up here in this 5 minute window. So there's an opportunity here for this next window, this next 5 minute window, to be a pump all the way up and out of this 5. What does this tell us? This tells us that there's a little bit of resistance here at 25.9, but if it can clear that, then it has the opportunity to run up to our 5% sell or our 10% sell. So we'll watch this one here, see what happens now in the next 5 minute window. All right, so right now we're at 25.40. We made our buy at 25.32. Right, so we're a smidge above. We could sell right now and be like, you know what? We didn't win, we didn't lose. We broke even. But our whole goal is to have a green buy, right? Or a green day. And that's something that if you notice a pattern for me where it never breaks this 25.86, right? And, you don't want to leave it overnight. Excuse me. You don't want to leave it overnight. Well, then you can always sell it in the green for a little bit less than the 5. You don't have to go all the way to the 5. You don't have to hope and pray and hold it. You do want to have a green day, right? And so real quick, I'll just go back to the sales tracker, right? Our trade tracker. On some days, I sold it before it got, it didn't get to the 5% target, which is okay. It's still a green day. It's still a day where we ended the day with more value than we started the day, right? I started the day in this particular one with 151. I ended the day with 154. That's a positive day. That's what we want. We're looking to stack positive on top of positive on top of positive. And the end result will get us where we want. And that's why having a strategy and a plan is important. Having an understanding that if I make X number of trades with the 5%, right, and that's the goal, that's the target, this is what I can relatively expect. Now let's just look at this while we wait for a few minutes for the 5 minute on that one. Let's say that you had 500 or 1,000 in value to start your compound strategy on. Just look at the difference that it would make, right? If you were to trade 500 every day and you get that 5% target, you would be taking that 500 and at the end you'd have 1326. If you took your 500 out, right, you'd have about 800 that you could put in your profit and start the next month with 500, right? That's pretty nice, to an additional 800 a month. If you could do it with 1,000, if you just went ahead with this and said, you know what, I'm going to pocket the 326 and I'm going to use the next month and I'm going to do the 1,000, right? Look what happens. 1,000 goes to 2653. Well, you very easily could say, you know what, this month I need 1,650, so I'm going to do 1,000 again next month. Or you could say, I'm going to take the 653 and use 2,000 the next month. Look at 2,000 the next month. I don't know anybody that can't use an additional $3,000 a month. I don't. Right? I don't know anybody that couldn't use an additional $1,000 a month. Right? If you could build this, taking some profit every month, right? You're taking a little bit of profit every month as you build this, and you could get to 2,000 and you 5% a day. I'm not talking crazy, dramatic, big time wins. Slow and steady, turtle wins the race, right? 5% a day, one trade or a couple trades. You start with 2,000 and you get to 53. You can take $3,300 out and do it again next month. That is the whole thing that I'm trying to show everybody, is that in crypto, yes, and we're gonna in the months to come, we're gonna be talking about what are my long-term holds, what are my swing trades, right? But the nuts and bolts and foundation of what we're doing, you've got to have what is called capital. You got to have money to get the big opportunities, right? But how do you start? You could start this. Let's look at this. You could start this with $10. You could start this with $10, and slowly but surely do. You could start with $50, right? And then you get to the 100, right? And you could just slowly but surely build up your capital base, right? It's all depends on what you have available. And again, you really want to start with something that if it all goes south, you're like, you know what? That was a good learning opportunity. I can tell you, I've made decisions, I've made choices in my learning of crypto that have gone south. That's just part of the deal, part of learning. But as you can see from my trading, right, my history on what we're doing here, that on the days that it didn't go my way, I cut my losses relatively quickly. I did because I'm monitoring it, because I'm watching it. I'm not, I'm not sitting here for hours and hours. I cut my losses pretty quickly. I didn't even let it get to the stop loss. But that's why the stop losses are so important. Is if you're doing this on an exchange, then you have that ability to have the system make that stop sell for you to preserve your capital. So let's go over here, take a look. Let's minimize this real quick. See where our pricing is. Look at that. We had that pump up to test the top of the FVG. Now we have a slow and steady climb, right? Right now we're at 25.58, right? So now we're going to see is they're going to have a slow and steady climb up here to 25.86. And at some point, it's just going to go poof and pop for us and break all the way out. Let's look at the 15-minute chart. There you go, right? Makes it nice and clear and easy on the 15 minutes to see what's happening comparative to where our lines are, right? We are now clearly above our buy line. We're in between our buy line and our blue line with our purple line available, right? It's there. So what's the next on our 15-minute window? What's the next real test? What's the next real thing is going to be, can it break this line right here? 27.35. So there's the potential that there's a big pump on one of these next 15-minute windows all the way up here to 27.31. Now, again, you got to understand what you're looking at. These are 15-minute intervals. So it's taking 3 different 5-minute intervals and combining them into one candle. So that's why for me, when I look to make the buys, the 15-minute is going to give me a good indication of, is it trending up? Is it trending down? Right? Am I making a good decision on a 15-minute window? Then, because if I look at these 4, right, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, that's an hour. So this increase happened in an hour, right? But if I look at that same hour on the 5-minute window, right, then the 5-minute window was way down here, and it was 20 of these, right? So you can see that it was a quick, kind of quick, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So the real jump happened over a 40-minute window, which would have been 3 15-minute window candles, right? And so that's what you got to look at here when you're looking at the 15 and the 5. Once I decided that I really wanted to take an interest in this, I came over to the 5-minute window to look at when is a good entry point. What was a good entry point to buy? I could have waited to see what happened in this 5-minute window candle before I made our buy, but I went ahead and decided to make our buy purchase when I did, right? I felt it was a good entry point based on everything that I'm looking at, and now we've got our targets, And now it's just a matter of monitoring it. Another thing that I want to point out, I work from home. I sit at home. I can have my chart up on one of my other monitors and monitor it and do trading all day long. But I know not everybody has that ability. So if you're doing this, say, on a lunch break, or you're doing this, for 30 minutes when you get home at night, right? You can come in, make your buy like we've made here, and then you can go to CoinGecko on your phone, right? So you can open up CoinGecko. So let's do that real quick. Let me show you what I do on my phone if I've got to step away from my computer. I find the crypto that I made my buy on. So VSYS, all right, VSYS. So I come over here. Whoops, that's not the right place. I come over here to CoinGecko. Now, mind you, I'm doing this on my phone, right? VSYS right here. And so I load this onto my phone. Now, you'll notice the prices is a little bit different. Right now, it's saying it's 00.2509. And, this is a little bit above it, but it's close enough, right? It's close enough for government work. So I know that my target sell is around 002664. So I can monitor the price right here on my phone. And this is kind of what I do. I go about the rest of my day and I kind of monitor the pricing. And you can kind of see these are every 5-minute candlesticks here. So every 5 minutes, this updates, right? And so I can refresh this on my phone and pay attention to when does this get to 0.00264. And then when it gets close, I can come back over to my computer and make my sell, right? Because that's what I would be doing on the exchange. I would be making that sell. Now look what's happening in the 15-minute chart. Look what just happened. Somebody made a buy at our sell price. That's what this line means, this green line going up. Somebody made a buy at our sell price. So we are on the upward trend of the right way to go. Let's go to our 5-minute. There you go. And we see it also in our 5 minutes. So what are we looking to have happen right now? All right, what are we looking to have happen? We are looking to have this 5-minute candle close above this red box. And then what do we expect after that? A run up to R2. So that's what we're monitoring. That's what we're looking for. I want to thank everybody for being either live on today's call or watching the replay. Again, we are doing this every day, right? We're showing the strategy. You get to peek over my shoulder every single day as we do this. I want to encourage everyone, learn crypto, learn how to do this. It's going to allow you to have some control, take some control in your financial life, learning these skills, right? So again, my name was Ben. I'm with the Templar Night Crypto Show. I want to thank everybody for being here. We will see everybody on the next video.